Is there anybody
out there? We did it at the exact same time.
You know those sounds? Is there anybody out there?
Yeah, it's incredible.
Hello, everyone.
Good evening and welcome to the Eyebashers.
Dirk.
Sheen.
The Cartel, man. We're going to get straight into it. We're going to talk about the Cartel tonight, everybody.
So is that a real name or is that just like what's going round?
Well, isn't a name what's going round? Isn't what's going around my name is O'Sheen. Isn't that going round?
The Cartel.
Well, let me explain where that came from. I think Tim Wright spawned it. I'm not sure if he came up with it, but he started using it. And immediately he was identified as an enemy. I mean, immediately they shut him down. They threatened him.
They threatened Timmy Wright.
Oh, he's been threatened by watch YouTubers, you know. Why by watch YouTubers that people watching probably love and admire.
Timmy.
Yes. No. Let me explain what this is. The Cartel. So when I was getting into watch YouTube, hello everybody, by the way, this is Eyebashers. It's going out on both channels. It'll be available to listen to on the Eyebashers podcast after this and on the Eyebashers YouTube channel, not on the Oisin O'Malley channel. We normally talk about all sorts of stuff. We're going to cover lots of stuff tonight, stuff that's in the news, all sorts of shit, but we are going to start with watch stuff. So I figured I'd put it out on the channel. If anybody gets annoyed by the other stuff later, you can just turn it off. If anybody thinks that this is a change of format for the channel, you're wrong. It's not the case. That's the same as watching your favorite actor appear on a late night talk show and thinking, oh my God, they're not making movies anymore. Of course they are. It's just they're appearing on a thing to have a chat. That's all it is.
Shane, tell me about your new cooking channel.
Right.
However, did you make those cookies?
Change the format, man. I'm going to bake. I'm going to bake pastries from now on. So the Cartel, when I was getting into the watch thing and I was watching shows like watch channels on YouTube, there was a big array of different sorts of people with different kinds of formats. You know, there was TGVE, or no, was it TGV? Yeah, TGVE, Urban Gentry.
Mm-hmm.
And he would go into the history and so on of the watch. And there was Archie, of course, which was farce, you know, and that was the farce side of it, but he knew his watches.
Sure.
And there was various other people. I eventually discovered Paul Thorpe. I found his channel to be fascinating because he was like in the business side of it and dealing with people like selling them stolen watches and dealing with the police and stuff. That was very interesting to me, you know. And as the whole
watch people.
Yeah. Good evening, watch people.
Good evening, watch people.
I was quite addicted to his channel actually originally, I have to say. But I loved his stories. Like the guy's been fucking through it, you know. He's been around the block a few times. And it was amazing to hear. So I just for me, it was like everybody had something to give there. And it was Adrian Barker, who was clearly just an enthusiast, not necessarily a super expert, but an enthusiast who loved watches and loved to get out and film them very nicely. Then there was that guy in Long Island Watches, Mark, who was able to pull apart a watch movement, you know,
sure,
and it was
a real watchman.
Yeah, he's a real geek, you know, and he'd like show the hairspring and everything. And I was learning so much. And I can't thought to myself, you know, this is all just one big happy family, isn't it? Like, isn't it fun? Everybody's got something to give. I saw Paul Thorpe as being, you know, a guy's retired. He's made all his money and now he's maybe a bit bored and he feels like he has some good advice for people and wants to just like pass the time by going on and doing a YouTube channel, something to keep himself occupied. Mm-hmm. That was not the case at all. Turns out the guy had money in mind the entire time. Maybe not the entire time, but at some point that became his absolute main focus. It still remains that. But let me get to the point. There were a lot of different characters showing up, and they were in the trading. And it became kind of apparent that some of us are in the thing because we love it. Some of us want to talk about watches and horology and all of that stuff. And then some of us just are using YouTube as a platform to kind of cleanse our image. Yeah. So, you know, when you're a gray market dealer, people don't necessarily trust you, and they think, why would I buy this watch? It's a lot of money off this guy who seems a bit shady and shifty. Well, if you have an image on YouTube, people see you, then they're going to trust you more. It seems to me that these guys started, and they started infiltrating, and all of a sudden we're kind of all being treated the same, but we're not. And I think the peak of it was November 2021. When I went to, or was it September? It was September 2021 when I went to the London Watch Show. And I found myself on the stage as a kind of a watch YouTube celeb, or whatever that means, with people like Adrian Barker, but also with people like Roman Sharf and Paul Thorpe and Nico fucking Leonard. And I kind of looked around and I thought, something's wrong with this picture, because I'm not the same as these guys. I'm not saying I'm better. I'm just saying I'm a different species. These guys sell.
Enthusiast, and
I'm an enthusiast.
They're dealers.
And they're dealers.
Yeah.
Now, Adrian is also an enthusiast.
He sells coffee and straps.
He has his little coffee thing in his straps. I don't know if he sells the coffee anymore. But he's an enthusiast. He makes money from it, and he pays his bills. Fair enough. But he ain't spruiking watches, and he's not a dealer. And I found myself at dinner with these characters. I met a lot of very shady characters. There were a lot of very shady characters in the room. And I kind of looked around and I thought to myself, why are we all in the same room? Because
you all had popular channels. That's really the crux of it.
Right.
You were all, regardless of what their walk was, you know, dealers or enthusiasts, you guys were kind of like the key, talent on air. You know, everybody, you guys all had fans, regardless of what you guys did. You weren't, pimping out watches or anything, and neither was Timmy or Adrian.
Yeah.
But, a good chunk of them were there to sell watches.
Yeah. I found it was myself and Adrian, and then everyone else was a dealer. A dealer with an online personality. So, as time went on, guys like Tim Wright came onto the scene, and various other people talking about, the whole watch world and the stuff going on in it, be it a new watch that came out or a scam that's gone around or some, watch YouTuber getting in trouble or God knows whatever it is. And eventually, all the cards fell in their correct place. And you know how it is. Haven't you heard? It's a battle of words, right? Once you name something and identify it, now we have it, right? And that's what happened. Someone came, I think it was Timmy, but it may have been a friend of Timmy's, and then Timmy started using it. But someone named these guys the Cartel. And it just was perfect. It was like, that's different. You're watch YouTube and you think one guy is the same as the other guy, but they ain't the same. One guy he's just into watches. Maybe he wants to make a little money off YouTube and, get some AdSense stuff or whatever, maybe. Or maybe he doesn't. Maybe he just wants to talk about watches and he's bored and this is his hobby. He's a little nerd at home.
Sure.
But the other guy is not the same. He's Cartel. Everything he does and says points towards the selling of watches and to facilitate that. Anyway, long story short, the Cartel, I've kind of found myself at the rough end of that stick last year, as you know, when I had a run-in with a certain Cartel member who's a very popular watch YouTuber by the name of Neil Leonard, or I call him, what do I call him? Ratzo. When it became very evident.
Midnight Cowboy.
yeah, Ratzo Rizzo.
Yeah.
When it became very evident that, this guy was trying to fuck me over, and I didn't let him. And as a little bit of the desperate situation that I was in, but also at the same time, a little bit of punishment, I paid him back in my own good time. Because I was like, how dare you fucking try to fuck me? You know? And he didn't like that. And then I saw all the cartel members jump on his side, and then I started learning. Anyway, long story short, now here we are.
It's nothing personal, it's business.
It's just business.
Yeah.
And Tim Wright is finding himself kind of at the end of this. And right now, Tim Wright is in Miami. And as you know, Tim Wright, he goes around, he's a bit of a journalist, right? He goes around and he reports.
A roving reporter.
Yeah. With a backpack on and his sunglasses and a microphone, right?
That's his whole charm. That's how he started. Remember when he wasn't on any of those guest channels, and yet he was the guy doing 24-hour broadcasts? 24 hours. The guy never turned his camera off. He'd switch cameras. He was incredible. And I watched them all. I'd be like, I'm good. It's 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm going to pop in and see what Timmy's doing. Because it's fun.
So he's down there right now in Miami. It is really fun. And he's walking up to people, and they're turning away and walking away from him.
Yeah.
Because,
don't let that happen, people.
Because Cartel is in control down there. And everybody's being tipped off not to talk to Timmy. Now, why would they not want to talk to Timmy, or why would they not want to hear from Timmy? Well, Timmy is out there to tell the truth.
Sure.
He's got to pay his bills too. He gets some super chats, but he's not earning that much money. It's not like the guy's getting rich any day soon. It's just getting him by. And he's
not selling watches. He's not flipping watches.
He's also not doing that.
He's buying them.
Right. And I'm watching all this shit happen in real time. That he is, one of the things that happened recently is Dave Portnoy, one of the biggest characters on YouTube and social media for the bro-tards, the guys out there watching the football game and eating pizza and drinking, Sam Adams beer and so on. They love this guy called Dave Portnoy. And he just put out a watch a month ago. That's a total lump of shit and a complete rip-off. He doesn't know anything about watches, and it's clearly a big cash grab. And the watch community, of course, is up in arms saying, oh, this is fucking ridiculous. Look at this guy. He thinks his brand he can make a, $100 watch and turn it into a $2,500 watch just because he puts his name on it.
So he's selling those for?
25, yeah.
That's like Tom Ford's quartz watches. Tom Ford has the worst quartz. Well, Tom Ford is Tom Ford. He's, a design genius, but he just slapped his name on quartz watches and sold them for $3,000, which is, ludicrous. Go buy a Swatch.
Here's the funny thing about Dave Portnoy as well is his quartz and his automatic watches are the same price. So it's just a total crapshoot. Turns out he didn't know what he was getting into. Everything okay?
My cat just got caught on her bed and she went, she tripped because she
tripped over.
So daddy's heart attack.
So Tim kind of called him out for this. Then Roman goes on with Dave Portnoy. Now, this is a guy who, this is a guy who knows his watches. The guy definitely knows his watches. He's been in the watch game for years and years.
Sure.
He's been selling APs and Rolex and stuff like this for years. And
he's a high-powered watch dealer.
Yeah, and he's all about investment and he's all about quality and all about that, right? But he went on with this guy and all of a sudden is sitting there with Dave Portnoy kind of helping him make his case against the watch world. And we're all sitting back in the watch community going, are you kidding me? Like how quick did you sell out just to get the clicks because you're on there with Dave Portnoy?
You know
It's
what?
like,
One bite, everybody knows the rules.
what?
That's it. Listen, I watch his pizza channel. I watch it.
Well, one bite of the pizza.
One bite.
Yeah.
That's his thing. One bite, and then people are like, "Bah!" Yelling. He's the pizza guy. That's all he is. But now he's an entrepreneur.
Right.
Okay.
So, but he's huge. Yeah, I think it's complete shit. The man's never probably ever eaten a decent pizza in his life. But
He's from Boston.
yeah, what would he know about pizza? But
Nothing.
that's a whole other thing, and I can make a whole episode about that. But he got
But fair
caught
play.
with his pants down with this shit, and he's huge. He's huge in the social media world. So of course, Roman gets an interview with him and doesn't go on the offensive really at all, and doesn't say, "Listen, admit it, you just fucked up. Reprice your shitty watches at $299 or $295, and then it makes sense. You can't make this crap, this horse shit, and feed it out to the world at $2,500 as a Rolex alternative," which is the angle he's going for.
Ooh, the alternative to Rolex.
Right. So
Not Tudor.
Not Tudor. So Tim is like, he's right there in the front lines. Tim was there when the moon swatch, in the crowds in London, people trampling each other. Tim's there in the crowd getting trampled. Tim's, he's the roaming journalist. So of course, is Tim's right in his wheelhouse. He's like, "Are you kidding me? Like, how is this even possible? He's such a sellout," and so on. So Tim goes down to report on this watch thing that's happening in Miami right now. And I've been tipped off by someone on the inside down there that the word is that Rome is telling everyone not to talk to him, not to let him into the shows, not to talk to him or anything. It's astonishing. I think it's coming to a head that these two sides of the watch world are kind of, one is exposing the other. That's basically what's going down. So
it also shows they have no sense of humor too. None of them.
Well, yeah, they could go up to Tim and go and fuzz up his hair and go,
like he's Don Rickles, the Don Rickles of the watch world. He insulted the shit out of me, but hey, Timmy, sure.
Yeah, and in a way they're shooting themselves in the foot because it's attracting more attention to it, like what's happening right now.
Mm-hmm.
But they've been spotted. They've been identified. They are the watch traders who have watch channels. And anybody who thinks they're genuine, my advice to you is go find the nearest mirror in your house and take a look at it. Take a look at yourself in it and take a deep breath and ask yourself, are you making the right judgment? These guys are watch traders. They have none of your best interests in mind at all. And they're out to manipulate the market in their favor. And everything they do and say is about that and more. And this is, I think it's getting, it's getting to a boiling point now between the two different sides. Especially now, of course, that the market went a little south, especially, particularly from where it was this time last year. And you have people like Tim Wright and other people saying, oh, yeah, watch prices are going to continue falling. And then you have the cartel saying, no, they're stabilizing. I think they stabilized too, but I have no vested interest in it, despite what some people think. This is where we are with this stuff. It's pretty frustrating. It's frustrating to me as a YouTuber in this field. It's horrible to think of my friend there, Tim Wright, who I think is a sweet guy.
He is.
Down there kind of getting muscled out of stuff.
It's all gotten so incredibly boring to me.
Really?
Yeah, because when I started watching all the watch channels and started getting the enthusiasm and learning about watches and all the personalities, like you said, TVG and Archie and all the early, and then you started your channel and it was so fun. And then, all the guys came around. Like, I don't even remember the guy's name, the guy that I instantly hated, the guy from Texas, the muscle guy. And like all these guys started to come in
Yeah.
like a
Anthony,
reality. What was his name?
Anthony Ferrer.
Okay. What was his handle?
It was Timepiece Gentleman.
Timepiece Gentleman, right? Gentleman, he's not. It just became like not fun anymore because it wasn't really about the watches and the enthusiasm and the movements and the history and the style. It became about prices, and market. And of course, that can be one component of it, which is interesting, especially if you have a big collection and it's like your stock portfolio. It's like your assets. But what I found most interesting was, the love of watches, people's genuine enthusiasm. And I don't even watch watch channels anymore. Very rarely, because it's competitive and combative, and it's he said, she said. And I always refer to all this bullshit as the Real Housewives of the watch world. It's just become a slag fest. And Timmy, for me, is refreshing because he's like the Don Rickles of the watch world. He insults everybody in a humorous and with love, for the most part. It's done in such a way that, because he's such a fun personality and he's a sweet guy, and the people around him are also pretty nice too. Then you have the nefarious bastards, and you could sniff them out. Come on, people, we all know who they are.
I have to hand it to you, man, because you sniffed them all out before anyone. Like when I was still mates with a lot of these guys, you were like, how come they're your mates? Like it goes to show that I'm a bit more naive, a lot more naive than you are. Somebody's asking me what I'm smoking. I'm smoking a Partagas series. I took the wrapper off, so now I have to pretend it's or the label. Series D number 4. This is Partagas.
It's like our Petrus.
Yeah, the label.
Which I just realized the other day that the name of that watch is Peter. Why did it take me so long to figure out that Petrus's name is Peter in Latin?
You mean you said watch? Do you
mean? Sorry,
wine?
no. I said that. Oh, because I said that the band is like our Petrus. How we slapped a label on it because we didn't have a label. But anyway, I digress. Maybe it's because I don't have a collection like that, and I don't have an investment to worry about. I'm just like, charlatan. I'm also, a New York City bartender, and I've met a million, snakes in the grass. I don't know. Being a New Yorker, you're just instantly suspicious of people,
right?
But like when most of those guys came along, I remember years ago when everybody was down on TVG.
Timepiece Gentleman.
No,
TV.
No.
Urban Gentry.
Urban Gentry. I remember everybody was off on that guy.
Yeah.
And I was never in that camp because I said, well, this guy really knows the history, and especially he's a big Omega fan, and I am as well. And he would just start spitting refs out and talking about the history of 145022s and crazy things, amazing knowledge because he's learned it. It's not written in the book. The guy collects, so. And I don't think he's a seller. I could be wrong about that, but that guy definitely loves watches. And I was like, I don't hate that guy. People didn't like his personality. I was like, well, I wasn't in that camp because I said, this is a guy that's done his homework and he definitely loves his watches. Because I remember once, the 60th anniversary Speedmaster, which I was obsessed with, he got it and he returned it. And he said he made him feel dirty because this is going to be the Speedmaster for me. It's 39 millimeters and it's, it's looks just like the CK2915. And
yes.
And I was like, yes, tell me more. Tell me more. And then he returned it because he said, it just felt like a reproduction. And I was like, oh.
Because it was not a CK2915.
Because it was not a CK2915. Because it had an 1861 movement in it. It didn't have a 321. Things like that.
I had one in my hands today. I was moving the crown. It didn't feel like an 1861 to me. I was wondering what's in it. Didn't know.
Which one in the 1130? The 60th anniversary?
Yeah.
Oh. Wow. Yes. Yeah, it's an 1861.
I put it on. It was quite dainty.
Because it's 39 millimeters on you. That's no good.
It was, yeah, it's just like, this is a 43 millimeter Seiko
Yeah, that looks
King
correct.
Sumo. Yeah, this looks right on me, right?
That looks right. The C that would. I mean, if you put a CK2915 on your wrist, you'd be like, "Fuck, this doesn't work on me." You'd be so
They
sad.
handed me a 36 mil day date, gold day date, and what a stunning watch. But I put it on, it looked like a toy, it looked like a button. Anyway,
I mean, lucky for the Asian market that love those watches, because they got
Yeah,
the little
sure.
on their wrists, and that's why they're buying them up like it's no tomorrow. But yeah, so back to the I digress less. All those nefarious characters that are out there, and I watched all the Timmy footage of going to this booth and that booth and this booth, and it just feels like you're in 48th Street. It just feels like you're in the Diamond District, and there's a bunch of barkers, and they just want you to buy shit. And that is not the reason why you or I got interested in this world. We got interested in all the amazing history. It's like, how we love guitars and airliners and, stuff like that, aircraft.
Okay, so we like guitars, right? So we like to talk about the instrument, the wood in the guitar, who played it. Some of our favorite players played that guitar, the history of the guitar, the new reissues of the old vintage, etc. Now imagine the whole guitar world online was dominated by guys selling them at Samash on 34th Street.
Yeah, we wouldn't watch any of it. Once in a while there'll be like a guy like Norm out in LA who's a legendary dealer, but the guy plays and his kids play, and he's got stuff that this was Jimi Hendrix's. It's more of a museum. Which is a totally different thing.
Sure.
No, we wouldn't be watching any of that. We all watch like 40 Watt World and all these different channels, because they're going to get into even that douchey guy that runs the Gibson channel now. I know Mark Agnesi. He's just, something about that guy is just off. But like, he'll sit with Slash, or he'll sit with Rick Nielsen or David Gilmour, and they'll pull out their guitars.
The equivalent for the watch nerds for that exact thing would be Houdinki sitting down with John Mayer, or sitting down with some actor and saying, "Show us your watch collection, and why did you buy this and why did you buy that?" And we all know the influence that John Mayer has had. Just him, talking about one watch, and next thing the fucking thing goes through.
It's $100,000. The John Mayer.
The John Mayer, that's what people refer to it. They don't even know his music, half of them. They know him because he said that about that watch, and they know he's a musician, but they don't really, if they ask them like what guitar he plays, they wouldn't even know. It's a completely different world. He's in both worlds, miraculously.
They don't know. I work with some people with a family that owns the place I work in, and the family are obsessed with John Mayer's music. I mean, it's blasting 24 hours a day. They go to all his shows. The daughter, who's a doll, she's obsessed with him. She loves him. They go to see Dead and Company, and she hears me talking to customers about watches, and she heard me say something about John Mayer. She goes, "What is it like? What are you talking about?" I went, "Well, John Mayer is probably at this time the single celebrity who's most influential in the watch world." She goes, "What do you mean?" I said, "Well, he's got like a $30 million watch collection. All he has to do is pimp out a watch, and the next thing you know, it goes through the roof." And she had no idea that he was such an influential player in the watch world. And then she came back the next day. She goes, "I was online all night, and oh my God," she couldn't believe it.
Right.
Like, yeah, he sits down and he opens up his watch roll, and the next thing you know, it's kaboom. Anything that's in his watch roll. Yeah.
Nathaniel Hannell, $20. Thank you. Hannon, I should say, $20. Hello, boys. Nathaniel's actually down in Miami right now.
Go beat them up, will you?
He's actually down there he needs to buy a watch for one of his students. His current student.
Oh, okay.
I know. Yeah, he can go. He could take them on.
Yeah, he's a Brutus, man.
The thing that bothers me is that it's not like, Roman can say, "Hey, I don't want to talk to you, Tim. Sorry, Tim." Like, Tim goes over, because Tim will approach anyone.
Sure.
He's almost kind of stupid like that. He's just smiley, and
or maybe smart like that.
Or maybe smart like that. I know, but kind of under the facade of being a little silly and dumb, he kind of walks up to anybody. Roman can say, "I'm sorry, man, but like, I heard the things you said about me. Sorry, fuck off, fuck you, whatever, walk away." But no, Roman's out there spreading this word. Tim, he's going to meet people and they're going, I can't speak to you, or I've been warned not to speak to you.
That's just so I'm going to make an appeal here, because I don't play sides really, other than people I don't like. Stop it. Just cut the crap out. You're no better than Tim Wright, whoever you are. I don't know who the members of the cartel are, and I don't care. It's just insensitive and stupid. Take it on the cuff. Take a right hook, take a little jab. It's fine. You're making money. Everybody's in that. Tim's channel is good for you, and vice versa. This industry needs to stop playing the Real Housewives of Disney and just get their shit together and stop being nefarious, cutthroat, deal making, deal cheating.
Well, you just said two things. You just said two things. Real Housewives of the Watch world would be more referring maybe to Tim and his world, where it's all about the drama. But now you're talking about being cutthroat and ruthless. Now that's referring to, they're not the drama makers. They're the guys who are out cutting throats and being ruthless.
I don't think of Tim's less of the Disney thing, with more of a really funny parody. He's more like a parody of the commentary, because it's all done with so much humor. I'm always chuckling on his channel. I think yes, he might put up he might do a little clickbait with the titling and get people riled up, but I think it's in good taste and good sport. Oh, Jesus Christ.
There's Sean out in Los Angeles. Sean, the man with the style and the beautiful watches. Jen took a few minutes off to grab a bite and found you guys were on. Because, of course, what time is it? Lunchtime or something in LA, right?
Right.
Dirk, hopefully we'll have joined Tim's stream with Oisin one of these days. Belated happy New Year, Oisin. Loving my recent Panerai. He got 2 Panerais in one day. Don't forget Paris, late April. I won't forget, man.
Are you going to Paris in late April?
Yeah, I might go meet this chap. He's
Parigi.
Great. Yeah. Part of the watch community. As they community. So this is what it's come down to now. It's come back. This is what it's come down to now. It's the community and the cartel.
Oh, man.
That seems to be kind of what it's come down to. And not just, I know you're fobbing it off, Dirk, as, the drama.
No, I think that there's some serious
shit. Yeah, there's some serious shit behind this. These guys will undermine. Think about what happened to me.
I know.
The community. That's not Real Housewives stuff. When you get doxxed and you're afraid that someone's going to come to your door and you're getting death threats on your phone, that's not Real Housewives. That's not girls. That's not guys being girls or being bitchy or whatever.
No, that's being
serious
criminal
fucking shit. Yeah, that's criminal activity that's being backed by these motherfuckers. So we're out. You know, what you're saying, if you don't mind, look, I love you, man, but what you're saying is you're kind of walking up to a bunch of protesters complaining about some pipeline going through their town or something and going, you all are being too dramatic. No, this is actually... I don't mean that entirely that way.
Let me be a little bit more clear. I just think that the watch community in total should probably clean its act up. You guys, these guys that are doing all this other nefarious stuff, well, forget about that Ratso situation. That's a completely criminal prospect, that whole endeavor. But going around and trying to blacklist a loved member of the community is petty. And maybe what he's doing is killing the better part of their business, which is probably...
He's trying to protect his business. He doesn't want him in that room going, hi, and why did you support that Portnoy brick watch? How can you tell your audience? How can they trust you anymore? You know, about watches. You're holding everyone's hands and saying, this is the right watch to get. This is a good watch and so on. Yet your morals are for sale in 5 seconds flat.
Yeah.
The minute a guy like Portnoy walks in the room, it's absolutely laughable joke of a watch. Then all of a sudden, your apparent, higher faculties when it comes to watches just disappears. Randy Rodriguez, $5. Thank you so much, Randy. I don't know if you had a question.
Just seems so stupid at this point in the game. Like, watch dealers, it's like, why don't all the car salesmen on Northern Boulevard in Queens or wherever your strip of car dealerships is, why don't they all start YouTube channels and start purporting about the greatest cars? I mean, that's the equivalent, because they're not really watch enthusiasts, they're just watch dealers, and they're trying to
Yeah.
pimp out their wares. They're the guy in
Right.
the bet with the truck and the donkey that shows up in your town and pulls off the tarp and says, "Drink my magic elixir." They're just that. Whereas the
Precisely.
other guys are the guys that are, "Hey, do you want to know about the history of this watch? This is why I like it, because it was Gerald Genta designed this," or whatever.
Yeah.
It's a totally different beast. So, I mean, hopefully people can see through that, the charlatanism and the what is the snake oil sales bit. Everybody should know that. I've been watching a lot of Mad Men and watching a lot of slogans and things shoved down people's throat, because when people are trying to sell you, and Dave Portnoy, not Mike Portnoy, great drummer, Dave Portnoy, the pizza guy, he's got a mansion in Miami, and he's an entrepreneur. That's his job, is to just make money. That's all he's interested in. He's not interested in watches or he's an entrepreneur, like rappers are, like, any of these people, who come out with a perfume. Like, do you think that who's like J-Lo knows a lot about perfume? No, she doesn't. She slapped her name on something from China, just like Portnoy did. So these are not real watch people. Shouldn't everybody just know that a Dave Portnoy watch is going to be shit? Shouldn't they just know that?
We do. Watch enthusiasts do. There aren't any of the people watching Tim or even watching Roman that would ever buy such a watch. The problem isn't that. The problem is to see these guys kind of just sell it. They're not sellouts. They're just kind of, everything's for sale, if you know what I mean.
Yeah,
And if you stand in their way, like, I'll give you one example. When Ratso pulled that wobbly on me, and then he was under the limelight himself then for his discrepancies, for his shortcomings, if to use a euphemism for it. Roman got straight on Tim Wright and gave a $500 super chat to come on to talk, to defend the guy.
Wow.
This guy who's up to criminal behavior, Paul Thorpe, who talks about criminal behavior all the time in the watch world, completely ignored what the guy was doing because it's cartel code. Somebody on one of the other streams recently said, sharks don't bite sharks, right? That was Brian, actually, a great guy. Sharks don't bite sharks. I said, who does bite sharks? Orca whales bite sharks.
Sure. Yeah.
So this is what it's come to. Anyway, we're passionate about this whole thing. It's interesting to us as the community, or whatever you call us. And we found ourselves kind of pitted up against these dudes. The sadder side of it, the sadder examples of it, would be what happened to me last year. That would be one of the sad, tragic versions. That was no fucking easy ride. Still isn't, but fading a bit now, thank God. But to see men with apparent, moral substance just fucking drop everything and just turn to their own gangster kind was rough. Tim's now facing a little bit of a taste of that. When he went up to people the other day, he's at stalls and looking at watches and saying, "Hey, can I promote your, I'll tell people about your business and your store," and he's chatting. And he's going back to the same people today, and they wouldn't speak to him.
The word is out.
Don't talk to the guy with the bleached blonde hair.
Hey, Timmy, you should go to if you're watching, which he often is. Go to the Walgreens and go get some Just for Men and do a darkie and go back out there.
Yeah, no,
go in disguise.
Just buy a simple wig.
Yeah, just go in disguise. Because that's just such nonsense. But like we said, it's probably affecting their bottom line, or
it's threatening their bottom line.
Yeah, well,
that's what it is.
I hate all that.
I hate it too.
Here
we are. Do you want to move on to the next subject? What was it? It was, Alec Baldwin now is going to get charged, apparently.
No, we all know why that's happening.
Why is that happening? Is it political?
Listen, he's a producer on there, so that's the way they're getting him. Obviously it wasn't intentional. It's unintentional homicide, right? That's what and unintentional manslaughter, right? That's what the charge is.
Yes,
Unintentional manslaughter,
unintentional manslaughter.
right? Which carries up to $10,000 and 5 years in prison. You know, had he just been the actor on there and he actually pulled the trigger, say he said I pulled the trigger, he'd be fine. But he's a producer, and people don't like his mouth. They don't like his politics.
Well, there's a lot of people who want to see him go down just because they want to see him go down, right?
Sure.
No matter what it is, right?
Yeah, I think that's it. And DAs, as we all know, are a breed of people apart. Their job is to just put you in jail. That's just their job, regardless of whether you're innocent or not. Obviously, he didn't mean to kill this beautiful woman. Obviously not.
I think that's
obviously devastated about it. I have to say, I wish he'd kept his mouth shut. I wished he kept his wife out of it. I wish he didn't have another kid. He just seemed like, all right, life goes on. You know, he's got that dump, and you know, she's getting away scot-free, and she's a charlatan too. I mean, that woman is a disaster. It's bad PR for Alec all the way he handled it. It's a shame. And I'm sure he's not going to wind up going to jail, but where's he going to go from here? Where is he going to go?
I think what he's going to do now is he's going to have to become more aggressive. I mean, there's no doubt that he's a very smart guy, and there's no doubt that he's got his great lawyers there who are probably telling him, listen, you should just get on with your life for now and wait to see what happens. There's no point in going, you know, sitting in the house with the shades drawn. 2 years from now, everybody thinks that, you know, there's something, because you haven't made any statement. There must be something up. Maybe you didn't mean to kill her. Maybe you were having an affair with her and she threatened to call your Spanish Boston wife or whatever she is.
Your alleged Spanish wife.
Your alleged Spanish wife. You know what I mean? They could make up all sorts of stuff, whereas him going out and being somewhat honest without revealing too much and also continuing on with his life was probably a smart thing to do. But I think what's going to happen now is because they're beginning to push blame in, he's going to have to, his lawyers right now, here's my guess. Okay, I'd put $50 on it. I'd put $500 on it. That his lawyers are saying, okay, we're going to have to go after the armorer now.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's really her fault.
Sure.
So we have to take her down or you're going down, Alec. You want to do 18 months in prison or 5 years if it turns into, there's a extension to the charge that could end up being 5 years, but 18 months is what he could be looking at. Let's cut that down to whatever, 9 or 10 for good behavior or whatever. But he can't go, the dude can't go to jail. So he's going to have to now turn it toward the armorer and the other chap who took a plea, by the way, the other guy who actually handed him the gun and said cold gun, which is what you say on the set, because it's cold, which means it has nothing in it. There's no round in it.
I don't understand why there's ever an actual gun on a set. Why would they ever have one? Why? Authenticity?
It's probably like having a car on a set. Like, do you need to use a real car with a real engine?
Well, if you're
maybe
driving,
not. If you're driving, well, they're usually dragged and towed by a truck that has a camera, right?
Especially
they're pretending to steer, but in the old movies, that's how they drive.
The city goes by.
Yeah.
Oh, there it goes.
Oh, honey, where would you like to go this evening?
I tell you something about that. I'm taking a steamship trip next year. Across the Atlantic. Tell me you'll come with me, my darling.
It's that crazy steering that goes on.
Well, they had those big steering wheels back then. There was no power steering.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, power steering. When did that come in? Somebody help me in the chat.
Late 50s, early 60s.
Really?
Yeah.
That changed the world. Can you imagine trying to maneuver that shit? You need the man to be driving, right?
Hey, even ladies could do it. It's so easy a woman could do it. That's the shit that goes on in Mad Men. I'm joking, obviously. That's the stuff. It'd be like, this vacuum so easy a woman could do it.
Yeah, because Mad Men is set back in the 50s when things were totally different.
And it's so funny because now we're so woke, so beyond woke when that show aired 10 years ago, 12
maybe
years ago.
Maybe it couldn't have aired now.
I bet you it couldn't. I bet you it couldn't because there's so much stuff in there, and I just go like,
There's
the
so
stuff
much.
they say in the office. Hey, darling, you might want to hike that skirt up a couple inches so we can see your legs. That's what the boss says to the secretary. It's like, come on.
In order to illustrate how different times they were, but of course,
sure,
a lot of the crowd wouldn't get the message in that. But I think Baldwin is going to do that. I think they're going to have to point the blame hard now, where he was going very, very light on everyone around him before. I think now they're going to have to say, hold on, you're going to slap me. I didn't want to say it before, but you're going to slap me in jail. Listen, it's down to her. She's taking care of the arms on the set. It's her responsibility. I'm an actor. The director tells me to point the gun. The director tells me to pretend I'm shooting it, or to shoot or pull the trigger and point it at the camera. Who's standing behind the camera? Hutchins.
Yeah.
So she's in the line of fire as well as the lens.
I mean, ultimately, a woman died, and there's a chain of responsibility here that went awry, from the producers to the armorer to the guy that handed Cole gun. Like I said, I can't believe that there's ever been why in today's day and age, when you can point a prop gun and they can easily use Final Cut Pro or any plug-in to just make it look like it's being fired. They do that, in every movie that there is.
Yeah.
Why there would ever be live bullets on a set, I don't know. And it's so irresponsible. And I don't know what the laws are it's New Mexico, right?
Yes.
Yeah. It's the Wild West. They probably have terrific gun laws out there now because they have more experience with firearms for personal people, for
that's mixed in there too. Because Baldwin is seen as one of these, Eastern Seaboard elites.
Sure.
Whereas they're like, well, down here we don't have them rules that you guys have. We got guns down here, and you're all liberals up there, and you don't understand how things really work in the real world with the guns.
Which
all
is
of
probably
that
very
shit
true.
It's probably true. There's truth in it, but there's also
Sure.
like a prejudice too.
Oh yeah. I mean, we don't know how. I've never held a gun in my life, never, nor do I want to. These kids grow up with guns in their hands. They're shooting cans and going to the holler and shooting coons and all the animals and hunting. They're doing all that stuff that is not something that happens in the concrete jungle. So we have he didn't do that out in Massapequa. He didn't know anything about that. So does he bear any responsibility for the death of this woman as a producer? Ultimately, yes, he does.
Because he's a producer on the movie.
Yeah, because he should be, they had, I mean, there's so many people that have come forward that say that there were many, many accusations or reports of mishandling and security and safety on the set. And they were doing a cheapy movie. So yeah. And I love him. I think he's smart and funny. Forget about politics and all that stuff. I think the guy's super bright, super extemporaneously funny. One of the best interviews in the whole wide world. I love everything about the guy. He's a talented actor, but he's stupid in his personal life, obviously, letting that run wild, defending that. Consider the source. Remember that? Consider the source. He was talking about when the news broke about his wife. He alluding to it was all lies, and it's not, because she's from Boston and her name is Hillary, not Elia from España. Yeah. So, but he consider the source. I adore him. You adore him. We love him.
I like him. Yeah.
Just watch, for all you out there, if you don't like him, watch Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee. It's all these comedians getting in a car with Jerry Seinfeld, and both Alec Baldwin episodes are the two best ones because he's so funny.
He's funnier than Seinfeld.
And irreverent and referential, and the things that come out of his brain, it's like a nonstop centrifuge of shit and ideas just being. Talk about tangential, the way his brain works. But we all have our weak spots, don't we?
Mixed into it is that definitely the difference of culture. I think a lot of people who want to see him go down probably wouldn't find him funny in in those shows anyway, or in those interviews anyway. And there's a lot of like people who know a lot about guns and deal with guns all the time are just thinking like, why didn't you check the gun yourself? I woulda, which I think is just like not knowing how an actor's life is. Like an actor has to act. It's not their job to check a gun. It's their job to act. They're thinking about the lines they have to remember.
Sure.
And they're listening to the director going, turn a little to the left, the light's not getting you, say the line again. And they're thinking about all that other stuff. It's not their job to think, oh, hang on a minute, everybody stop while I check this gun because I'm a fucking expert with guns. Like, it's just not a thing. To me, it would be obscene if he went to jail for it. It would
be obscene. I mean,
to me,
I agree. I think ultimately it sounds like a cheap movie set. Sounds like they cut some corners. Definitely. Was the whole thing union, or do we know that there was some like non-union people? Is that even allowed? I don't think that's allowed on movie sets.
I don't think that's allowed. You have to be union.
Okay, so she was probably new to the union. She was a new armorer.
I believe she's the daughter of another armorer.
Of an armorer, yeah. She comes from like so you would think she would know what she's doing, but somebody brought a box of live rounds onto that set. And somebody took said live rounds and put them in that gun. That's the person that should go to jail.
Yes, if they can prove who did that, that's the person who's responsible.
That's the person.
Whether it be an oversight, they were fucking around with it, using the gun to fire it with real rounds earlier, and then just forgot to really fully empty the chamber, or whether it was actually intentional and they were like, let's ruin this guy's life and let's, or something crazy and maniac, I don't know.
Sure. There is that, maybe somebody who's out to get her or the cameraman, or who knows. I mean, if you want to get all QAnon about it,
you could get QAnon about it. Maybe it's like, you know what, let me slip in, I don't like this guy's politics.
Sure.
He didn't vote for Trump. Let's fuck up his life, who knows?
He didn't?
Anybody who's watching, by the way, guys, on my channel, the Oshinomali channel, and you're thinking, what about the watches? Why have we gone off watches? This is an episode of the Eye Bashers. It's got its own channel, its own podcast. Wherever you get your podcasts, you can download it. It's going out on my channel now. After it's done, you won't see it anymore. If it's not your thing, just talking about other subjects, just switch off. Don't be offended. Don't get upset. I'm not changing my format. We're just having a Friday night chat about various things that were in the news this week. If, on the other hand, you're one of the Bashies, you're a Bashers fan, welcome. I hope you're enjoying it. The natter, the chat that we're having. There's Ray, $2. Great idea. Why not Leonard be your customer service? He's talking about Lenny. My watch channel, $4.99. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
They're just watches. There are some very serious items, but in the end, they're still things. And the drama makes a person just want to walk away. Good point, I guess.
Money's just a thing too. We made up, so
that's true. Yeah, it's just a thing. Sometimes it's
a thing. It's not the person you love or your child or your pet. It's just a thing.
But it's also something that affects your life. Like money is a made up thing, but money can be. Somebody takes all your money away. That's a form of violence in itself.
I just sat through the whole Bernie Madoff thing, and I thought, wow, you people are whiners.
Why? Because they were investing, right?
They were all investing and looking the other way when they were getting 25% returns on shit you should be getting like 6% on.
That's one thing that freaks me out, especially with this crypto shit now, and everybody's getting charged. Why are they getting charged? Because people lost money. Yeah. If exactly the same activity, criminal or not, was happening and people were earning money, you wouldn't hear a peep out of anyone. I always think it's real funny where everyone comes out of the woodwork going, send them to jail because I lost my money.
Yeah, lock her up. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I mean, the SEC and everybody. I watched that whole Netflix documentary. It was really well done. Extremely fatiguing after a while because you just can't believe that was allowed to happen. They had inspectors in there. Incredible. Yeah. Incredible story.
Wild. Yeah.
So, So to close out the Alec Baldwin thing, I mean, it's a shame. The whole thing is terrible. The end of this woman's life is obviously the worst thing. She was a mother.
Certainly.
whoever was responsible for that, I just don't understand how come we've never found out who brought the live rounds and who loaded them into the gun. Was it the armorer? I heard she wasn't even there that day. She wasn't
Oh,
even
I
on the
didn't know.
set that day.
Oh, I
I
didn't
read.
know that. I did not
Bastian's
know
correct
that.
me if I'm wrong. I read that she was not there that day.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
But that's the people. Should he be responsible as producer, be it financial or creative, whatever his bit was in that? Yeah, he should. They should all be reprimanded for it because somebody died on the set. But you think about all the movies from way back when. Think about all the building sites that people die when they're making skyscrapers. This shit happens and people are held responsible, and it always comes down to who is the person in charge of safety. So
yeah, was there negligence in there? I don't think that the law that they're going after him with will work if they can't find that he was negligent.
Yeah.
If the accidental manslaughter won't apply, as far as I can tell. I was trying to read up on it last night. As far as I can tell, if they find that he was not negligent, that he didn't cut corners as a producer and said, we don't need that extra half an hour to check all the things on the, we're going to lose time. We're losing light. Let's get ahead with the shot. If they can prove that, then he's in trouble, because that could have saved her life.
Unlikely as hell that he would have anything to do with that. I'm sure he wasn't calling the shot. He wasn't the director. He's often said that he's directed and he doesn't enjoy the process. So it'll come down to that. I mean, you think about all the sandhogs who built all the bridges and the tunnels. How many people died when the Midtown Tunnel was made and the Brooklyn Bridge and all those, the Verrazano, tons of people died. Who is held responsible? The people, not the Rockefellers or whoever the Tishman Spire or whoever the big company was that built it. It's always the people that were involved with the safety.
Right.
It's them. So we'll find out, I guess. I mean, he probably saw this coming, and he shouldn't be exempt either because he's a celebrity and we like him. He shouldn't be.
Well, no. He shouldn't be above the law. Certainly not.
No, of course
not. 50 Dutch krona. Thank you so much. Loving every bit of these streams. Thanks. Hashtag horology snob. We're no longer talking about horology. I'm sorry, man. I don't know if we're going to get back to that subject, but we might just swing back. You know how we make these hard lefts and hard rights. That's just the way we do it. Carolyn Martin, 9.99. Great to see you, Carolyn. Thank you so much. Guys, it happened in New Mexico, where laws on guns are no joke. He's getting what others would get. You hold a gun, you're responsible. That's amazing to me.
I agree 100%.
So you agree with that law?
I agree with the fact that if he's got a gun in his hand, every single process every box should have been ticked before it got in his hand. Do I find him ultimately responsible? No, I don't. However, I think the
that's what she's alluding to there.
Well, I mean, I don't know, but I think it's a gray area there. Plus, I don't ever want to disagree with Miss Carolyn Martin because she's great.
I don't want to. She's a smart lady. I'm sure she can handle a disagreement here. But you hold a gun, you're responsible.
I mean, didn't he think it was a fake gun though? Didn't he? I mean, if I was on a movie set and I'm saying I'm shooting a music video, and we've decided to do blah blah blah. And somebody hands me a gun, the guy that's the director or whomever the prop master is, hands me the gun. Am I going to open it up and look at it? I'm not. I'm just going to go.
How many actors would even know what to do? How many
Tom
actors
Cruise does?
Well, Tom Cruise and Keanu Reeves apparently is a weapons expert at this point. Sure. He would have to be. The guy shoots so many people in his movies. There's so many blank rounds shot in those. It's a miracle that nothing went wrong, right? Amazing.
It's just non-stop fire on those films.
And to clarify, I think Carolyn is not saying whether she thinks that. She's just outlining that that's the way it is in New Mexico. I just think that that's a little bit crazy. Like I could take a gun. I could take any gun, a toy gun, or pretend it's a toy gun, hand it to a little 5-year-old and say, shoot mommy. And then the poor 5-year-old pretends to shoot mommy, but then really shoots mommy, so that we bring the 5-year-old and
no, because daddy had them the live rounds
because he was holding the gun. Like that law sounds draconian to me and a little bit backwards.
it's a bit vague, it's vague. I mean, you can't, like, we've been through this before. I mean, the whole process of handing him this gun and then saying cold gun. I mean, immediately you'd think he'd be off the hook, but I think it all comes down to him being the producer.
It probably will. It probably will. Nathaniel has something to say. Starter pistols don't sound or look like real guns firing blanks. Okay.
Starter pistols, are those the ones that does anything come out of it? Does anything discharge from those guns? Because I remember when I was a kid, as my sister.
Was she? He already of course, yeah, sure, armorer.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So well, I think that's kind of important in his. If I was in his position, I would.
She's a super first person, also, like we are. She's a big fan of his work. Yeah. So she's
Carlos again, $10. Getting into this late, is he being charged as an actor or producer? Producer makes sense since he is on the top of the chain. Sure, that makes sense.
I mean, I don't think that they've stated whether or not he's being charged as a producer or an actor. I think they just charged him because he had the gun in he's just the person with the gun in his hand. I think that's it. Okay. I mean, I think the rest will come out. This is obviously going to go to trial, I would imagine.
It might.
Right.
Unless there's a plea offered. I think it is important as well for the DA to show that they're not giving. There's probably a feeling, DAs can get pressured by the people. Quite often DAs want to hold on to their job or their position, or they have some politician behind them pressuring them. And there's probably a feeling among the people is like, don't let that elitist libertarian, away with this just because he's a famous actor, which they're not doing, but this may be just their way of showing, like, we're going to put him through due process, regardless of the fact that we even know he's probably going to walk away from it. But we're going to put him through it just to show that we're not giving any, we're not biased in his favor. Super sticker from John Martinez.
Thanks, John.
$5. Thank you so much.
Doesn't every actor, sorry, Kieran, we'll get right back to you in a second, Kieran. Doesn't every actor get adequate gun safety for every single project that they're on? Don't they have to go through a whole process of this is how we're handling this gun. This is an antique gun. We couldn't get a copy, so we have an actual working gun. But of course, why didn't they pull the pin out that it was incapable? I don't understand any of that. Just it seems so. Why wouldn't you disable something and they said it was an antique gun because it's a big old Western, right?
Well, there's a lot of people who have strong opinions about this who know a lot about guns, but don't know a lot about movie making.
I know.
They don't know much about
a lot about both of those.
What?
I know a guy that knows a lot about both of them.
Okay.
And you know him too.
I know him too. I think, I think coming from an artist's point of view, if that's what I have, who doesn't know a hell of a lot about guns, right? I'm probably saying I'm looking at it going, hold on. If you're told, like, if somebody, on the set of Speed with Sandra Bullock, is it up to her to open the hood of the bus that she's supposed to drive for the whole film and check that the engine is all right? Like, is she supposed to be a qualified mechanic before they put her behind the wheel of this bus that she's pretending to drive throughout the entire movie? Her job is to act and remember her lines, and everyone else around her is supposed to take care of all the technical shit
and pretend she's driving the bus.
And pretend she's driving the bus, right?
He's supposed to know about pretending to be holding a gun. He should never have had I mean, shouldn't that just be the end of the book? He should never have had a real gun in his hand. I just don't get it.
That would have made it much easier.
I just don't get, why are there live guns on sets? Why?
But I just think there's a lot of people with strong opinions about this who love guns, who they adore the whole gun culture. They know a lot about it. They're very responsible with guns, but they don't know the first thing about movie making, filmmaking, sets, staff of a movie, assistant directors, directors of photography. Why was she behind the camera and not the director there's so many things that are the ins and outs of putting together a movie. They may be an expert about how to handle guns, but they don't know the first thing about movie making. And I think it's to understand the thing, you need to know a little bit about both, or a lot about both, probably. Kieran Kelly, guitarist, €20. Been way too long, I assume. You mean since I caught you guys live. Great to see you, man.
Well, great to see you, man. Thanks.
Was going to have an early night. Feck that. Popping the ripasso. He's having a ripasso. That's Amarone ripasso, he means. Happy days.
Not
Hi
get
to everyone
on your arse. What is it?
So
What's the
ripasso,
percentage on that?
it's probably 14.5. Ripasso is when you take Valpolicella and you put it in the casks that Amarone was aged in. So it picks up a lot of that Amarone, bouquet and so on, And so it's a little bit, it's kind of a cheating. It's halfway between regular Valpolicella and Amarone. I've only ever had one that I liked. But if you found one, Kieran, good for you, man.
I've never had one, a ripasso. Never.
Carolyn's back in with $20. No need for that, Carolyn.
Oh.
But thank you. Gun safety is to be given to everyone on a set who handles a weapon, including the actor. Well, we've all seen those shots of Keanu Reeves and De Niro when he was training for Heat and so on. Like
John Wayne never killed anybody, right? Think about all those westerns in the 40s, 50s, and 60s. All those westerns,
right?
Like, what were they using? And they're shooting everybody, and the safety standards on those movies were probably non-existent. I mean, horses died on those sets. Like there was no animal wranglers there's no humane society. I mean, there was very loosey-goosey rules in yesteryear for making all the classic John Ford westerns. And now, when we are so up everybody's ass about rules and regulations and this and that, it happens. It seems so unlikely and suspicious in a way.
It does. It always felt suspicious to me. I have nothing to back that up at all. Okay,
me neither.
It just always felt a little odd. But you know what? Planes crash every now. 1 in 8 million flights has an emergency landing or crashes.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean that flights are dangerous. It just means there are so many flights that it's stands to reason something's going to go wrong on one of them. Hope that doesn't put the fear in anybody out there.
The best part of that statement is that if it ever does go down with one of us on, at least we'll be drunk.
That's the most important thing. It's so
because
important to be
I always have a couple of kicks before I get on a flight.
It's so important. You gotta.
The worst thing ever was when we were coming to see you, 2020, right? It was 2021.
Yes.
The whole gang met in Venice, right? And we got an early flight at Kennedy, and we went through Rome, and it was COVID frenzy. We went to his town in the middle of COVID, which was great because there was nobody there, and we had our passes, and we were ready to go. There was not a single bar to be had in Kennedy Airport. I went. It was so shit. We went on those flights just stone cold sober.
Which is
when you're getting on a European flight, that sucks.
It's one thing if it's 1 hour to Boston. It's another thing if you've got 9 hours across the Atlantic.
Yeah, we're going to Rome. It's 9 and change. You're like, well, once you get on the plane, we got some drinks, but still, it was so crap.
You're dying for that first drink, though, aren't you? You're like, please start the drink service immediately. We're getting to cruising altitude. Let's go.
Well, that's why it's important before you get on the flight to hit the bar. Have can be just two mimosas. Get champagne because you know
why it's important as well. It's like it's not necessarily about the fear of flying, but turbulence. Especially, if you're flying out of clouds, you have to get over those clouds for things to clear up. A plane can handle so much more turbulence than people think it can.
Sure.
It can handle crazy ass shit. As long as it's far away from the ground, it can maneuver. The plane can go upside down if it wants to. It doesn't matter. There's plenty of room to maneuver and do all sorts of shit. But like that threshold for people just shaking around and being reminded they're in a pressurized cabin in the middle of the sky is just too much for most people. If you're hammered drunk, you laugh your way through it.
Yeah, I mean, if you've had even just 2 drinks, right, and it's just, and it's not so much this shit, it's that shit.
Sorry, you froze. I can't say.
Oh, it's not so much the back and forth; it's more the one like that. And like after you've had a couple, you're like, like you're on a little bit of a joyride roller coaster. You don't care when you've had a couple of drinks. But if they said, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to ditch, no, I would definitely prefer to be 4 deep when that happens.
You might have that liquid courage as well. Like you'll help other people get their seatbelts on, and
I'm going to grab the gun out of that terrorist's hand, and I'm going to beat the shit out of him. Right?
At least you'll give it a good stab. Like you'll try. Right?
I think I would anyway, because if there's a terrorist with a gun, I think we should all. I think nowadays, I think that's the rule. After what happened with 9/11,
it'll never happen again. The old rule was. They used to in the 70s, when Palestinians would take the flight over, or someone in the, I don't know, some crazy country in Africa would take over the flight and try and get out of there or whatever. The rule was always to follow. Don't fight the terrorists. Oh, yeah. That there's a better chance of people, and let them go into the cockpit. Since all that happened in 9/11, it will never happen again. They will not forfeit the cockpit, no matter how many people are shot in the back, even if they're like just killing everyone in the crew. The guys will never open the cockpit, because that ensures that everyone's going to die. At least someone might come out alive at the other end. And I don't think anyone. I think those guys in 9/11 fucked it for every future terrorist taking over a flight now. Because no one will ever put up with it again. No one will ever say, "Oh, honey, it's going to be okay. They said it's fine. We're just going to land in a different place." No one's ever going to. People are naturally going to kick into like, "What are we going to do? We're going to take them down. Let's do it." Because we're all fucked anyway, so we may as well give it our best shot, right?
I'm going to tell him, let's go rush that fucker. And we're just going to take his ass down.
Yeah, even if you get shot doing it. What's the difference? You die anyway, right? You might as well go down that way, right?
Yeah.
Linda McLeod of the Clan
McLeod. Knew you were going to say that.
Canadian $20.
We can't help ourselves.
You don't have a question, Linda? Maybe you forgot to put it in. I'll look for it.
Right.
Thank you very much. I need to catch up on the chat here because everyone's got stuff to say, and it's all like 10 minutes behind. Andrew Wolkowicz, of course, is here.
Andrew,
good to see you, Andrew.
Where are my earrings? Andrew.
What's the next thing to discuss? Is it Santos, George Santos? We're going to discuss.
She's
that guy?
Great. I like her. She's great. So here's a quick digression. So yesterday I was at the dentist, and it wasn't pleasant. I have a tooth pulled because it was cracked. But here's the best part about it. I have a new dentist, and he was highly recommended, and everybody's really cool. And we're talking. He comes in and he puts his arm up, and I look over and I go, "Is that the 1276 BLRO?" And he goes, "What?"
Oh, he had a Pepsi on?
He had a Pepsi on. And I said, "Ceramic Pepsi." And he goes, "What did you just say to me?" I said, "It's like the 126710 BLRO, right?" And he's like, "Okay, are you my, like, we're besties now." And we just talked about watches the whole time while he pulled my tooth out. And I felt absolutely nothing. Nothing.
But he gave you a big fat shot in the cheek.
He gave me a great shot, but I was so distracted with watch chattery. And
that's what I try to do when someone's feeling ill, when someone's hurt, or having a panic attack or anything around me like that. I try to ask them questions to describe and ask them, what happened and when and what do you think, and try to keep them on the technical.
Mm-hmm.
I try to drag them over to the technical.
Sure.
Like, is that the same feeling as when you and get them to talk and explain and get their mind onto like just talking about it, just to bring them off of the tragedy that they're going through or whatever it may be, sick feeling or whatever. I always think that's a good thing to do. It's like it's taking your mind off.
Distraction is great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was numb and everything, but I was so you know, and he's a dentist, so you know he's got great taste in stuff. He's got some money, obviously. So he was telling me about his Rolexes. He's got a bunch of Rolexes, and then he told me, "Oh, a friend offered me a Milgauss," and I was like, "What? You didn't take it?" He goes, "I don't think I like that." So I spent at least an hour talking like this, out one side of my mouth, trying to convince him to get to get a Milgauss.
You see, we're back onto watches now, guys. Everybody come back. We're talking about watches again.
And
I said, how do you have to convince somebody about a Milgauss in this day and age? Surely.
Well, now everybody's woken up to the Milgauss, but he was offered it, and he said it wasn't really me. And I said, which one was it? And he said it was the blue dial. I said, oh, the Z blue. I said, okay, so that's not my particular favorite. My favorite is the black dial because I think the green glass pops more. And then I showed him a picture on my phone. He goes, "Ooh, I like that." So
you turned him around. You see,
turn him around. Now he's just great. Yeah.
As we speak, he's like checking them online. He's looking through listings.
I hope he gets one because his next big purchase. He says he wanted it at Daytona, and I said, I think your wrist is a little too. He's a muscular-y guy. I said, I think it's a little too small for you. I think it is. Daytona's. It's like you. Daytona doesn't.
They're a little smaller. How did the BLRO, the Pepsi, look on them?
Looks really nice.
Oh yeah,
really nice. Really, really nice. Great. I mean, yeah, it's a beautiful watch. I wasn't always the biggest Rolex guy. I especially love the anodized, the older ones. Sure. I especially love those, especially the ones that are, pink, the ones that have faded. Oh God, those are just so beautiful. Much more than the Coke. I don't know why it is. And I'm a Coke guy, as we all know. You all see me drinking Diet Coke all the time. I just think that Pepsi, just the color when it's faded is beautiful. Though, don't get me wrong. I think the Batman's beautiful. And I think all those ceramics are beautiful. They are. But anyway, I digress.
There's Design Atelier. How are you, man? Greetings from Aruba.
Hey.
Bondi or Bon.
Love your channel.
Yeah, his channel is good. He was in a little heat there recently, but he came out of it, I think, okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Glad to hear it.
Yeah. He made a silly comment, but it was all right. But he came out of it fine. He's got a great channel.
If we had $1 for every silly comment we made and people got mad at us.
I know, isn't it? Like, what's that old meme? Like, it was going around a while back. Like, I'm so glad I grew up in the 80s or 90s or something, because I said a lot of shit. I did a lot of shit, and there's no record of it anywhere. Meanwhile, anybody growing up now is like records of absolutely everything they do.
Everything you've ever said and done
over the internet.
Yeah, my wife is such a bitch and a whore.
Don't drink in Facebook was the old thing. Now Facebook, of course, is nobody gives a shit anymore. But it used to be, don't drink in Facebook.
Don't drink it. Don't drink in MySpace.
Do you remember the old MySpace?
Yeah. Remember when you couldn't wait to post your music on there and like share it with
I saw a thing going around recently with the original. Remember, the MySpace guy was Tom. He was a dude.
Tom was your first friend.
Desk. He's your first friend, and I guess he was behind it. He was like, I gave you your own themed thing with your own theme music that you chose yourself, and all of this stuff, and freedom to say anything you want. But no, you weren't happy, and you had to go the other way. It's brilliant. I was like, yeah, it's so true. We kind of fucked it for ourselves.
It's true.
Design Atelier. Did I have MySpace? Yes, I did. I'm showing.
Do you still have it?
Did. Do I still have it? It's probably out there somewhere. Yeah.
Shit.
I should probably go find it and fucking delete it before someone finds it. Finds a load of shit on there that I don't know. Now that we're in the woke years, maybe some of them won't sail so well. I think they reset it all though, like a few years ago. It's still out there, but it's just like an empty room with cobwebs,
Oh,
I think.
I'll look for it.
I should go look for it.
I'm looking for my old one. I used to love being on there. And
do we want to talk about George Santos or not? Do we give a shit?
I mean, all I have to say about a guy like that is, he's from Nassau County. Well, he's ran in Nassau County, and now they're giving him all these big jobs They're all on Homeland Security. Him and Marjorie Taylor Greene, everyone's favorite girl, hometown girl.
Everyone's favorite.
And she's just wonderful. Q calls her in the morning and tells her what she should do. She even quotes Q when she does her speeches. We saw her do it on the news the other day. So she's part of Homeland Security. So we've got this beautiful. Let me see. Where is this? Right, got. Okay. How about that?
So it turns out, I mean, Santos is in so much shit. Like, there's so much bullshit. Now it turns out he was into drag. Not that there's anything wrong with that.
No. It's fine. It's fine. Yeah. I mean, if you want to be a drag performer, but he has jumped on the anti-LGBTQ bandwagon and about same-sex marriage, about every single thing. He's every far right evangelical Christian. He's always been on board for all of those things. So so let's just break him down real quick. George Santos lied about where he went to school. He said that he went to several different colleges that he never went to. He lied about working for Goldman Sachs. He never worked there. He lied. He said he owned 11 luxury properties in Florida, which he didn't own. He lied about. He said he was Jewish. He said his mother was a concentration camp survivor. He lied about.
So fucking.
That's
low,
just
man.
the worst, right? Okay. And then he was. He has a criminal record.
It's so low if it's not true. I heard that he was pressed.
It's not true.
It's not true. And that when he was pressed, he said, "No, I didn't say I was Jewish. I said I was Jewish.
Jewish.
Like I was kind of like a Jewish person. I was Jewish." Which
he also said that said Jewish mother died in 9/11, and she died in 2016.
So this guy is he's pushing every button he possibly can with everyone he can.
Yeah, so his whole his entire world his resume is complete bullshit.
So is that the end of him, or are we going to continue seeing?
No, he just got a promotion the other day. That's before the Drek came out. So I'm in the middle of the chair. We're talking about watches, and then that came on, and I was like, "Don't make me laugh!" And then they showed pictures. That's him on the left. Right, that's him. You can see that he's had like some lip fillers, and he's got
same nose. Yeah,
you can see that he's had some nice augmentation of the cheeks, and he's got this great hair, great makeup, great jewelry. He's a drag performer. He's openly gay. Yes. Not that means anything, because I've never done drag, nor do I care to.
Maybe he's lying about that too. Who knows? Maybe he's just trying to appeal to absolutely everyone.
Right? Yeah. It just seems like this is a guy that it's amazing to me how we elect people even after we know. Well, it used to be once they find out, like who just got. I just saw. I digress. I'm gonna use that from now on. I digress. I just saw an ad for a new James Franco movie, and I thought James Franco had been canceled. Okay. Because apparently he's a womanizer and all the usual criminal offenses. I'm like, okay, so we can't watch his movies, but we can elect a guy that lies about his education, his criminal background, every single thing. So we've gotten to the point where everybody says, well, we found out about this, so he's canceled, he's finished. Is he wears a Santos?
Yeah.
Wow.
Linda McLeod of the Clan McLeod was saying, Google his watch. He has a Cartier.
A Santos for a Santos.
For a Santos. That's so funny.
Look at that. Well, if my last name was Santos, I'd wear one of those too.
Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah.
Though I don't like, I never liked the Santos. I don't like any of those Gerald Genta watches. Yeah. I know that's a classic, but wouldn't you much rather have the Tank Franchise or the Tank American?
I was trying on a white gold American today, just for my sins. Like, not like I'm in the market for one. I just
Fondico.
It was no. I was down by my boys in Vicenza, but man, it was gorgeous. And like list on it was 20 grand, and they were like, "We'll give it to you for 6.5." I'm like, "I'd love to, lads, but not right now."
20 grand watch for 6 grand?
6.5. Yeah. Well, a lot of those lose, especially in precious metal. They lose their value pretty damn quick.
Was it quartz?
No, an American wouldn't be. No, I don't
But they
think
have
so.
them in courts.
I'm sure for the ladies.
Wow.
I
Yeah,
don't
that's a good
know.
question.
Once they
Bashies, does
get
that
beyond a
watch come in courts?
certain size, I'm sure it comes. Pretty much every cat you watch comes in quartz once it gets under a certain size.
Oh, okay.
So the Ballon Bleu for men is automatic, whereas a lot of the Ballon Bleu for the ladies, because they're so dainty and small, they have this quartz movement in there.
What do you
So
think the chances are of that Santos being from China?
I know if he's a
It's a
liar,
counterfeit.
that
Why?
he's
That's not. It's not a
it's
counterfeit.
probably not even real. Or
It's
he lied
definitely
his
not real.
way into it, you know.
Yeah, it's definitely not real. Yeah, just think about all the people that we've canceled. You know, who we canceled? We've canceled James Franco, Shia
Yeah.
LaBeouf, Mel Gibson for a lot of reasons. He got canceled first.
He's not truly canceled. He continues to make movies.
He makes so many movies. It's like he's making as
shitty
many movies as
like
Bruce
B-list
Willis
movies.
did in the last, because he's retired now, because he's got a mental condition, right? He's got some cognitive issues.
Bruce
Willis.
I didn't know about that.
Oh yeah, it was a couple of months ago.
Oh
Like everybody flew up to his Montana compound because he announced immediately was retiring, because he's got some kind of not MS, but it's some kind of degenerative cognitive progressive disease. And he must have made about 16 B movies in the last 5 years.
Did you hear about Jeremy Renner? He just got caught under
under a tractor. You know what he was doing?
Tractor?
Digging out his neighbor.
He was digging out his neighbor?
Yeah, because Jeremy Renner, apparently, all the people that live on this mountaintop with him say that he has a snow plow, and when it snows, he goes around and he digs out everybody's cars.
Oh, so he's helping his neighbor.
Yeah, he's the greatest neighbor. Everybody's the most generous, sweetest guy.
What did he do? Stand out in front of it by accident, and the thing started running?
It got stuck, and he jumped out of it for a second, and it slipped into gear, and it got him. Yeah, a snow plow.
They're saying he may never walk again.
Oh, did they say that?
Well, yeah, that's what I heard. We share the screen over. Yeah, I mean, and such a physical actor, right? He's always playing like action roles.
Sure, he took over the Bourne franchise temporarily.
Though I loved him in Yeah, sorry. When I look up stuff, it comes up in Italian. Sorry, guys. I can do this. I can translate it up here. Look at that. Boom. We live in the future.
What does that?
Chrome. You never use Chrome. That's the problem.
I use Chrome for this. I use Firefox. Does it?
Yeah, it just does.
Is there an icon that does it?
He has a little thing up there. He's in serious condition. It will take him 2 years to recover. Man, oh man, that's crazy. I was going to say I loved him in Arrival, but no, I just love the film Arrival.
Yeah, I mean,
and he was in it, so that works.
He was in it. He didn't have much to do. She was the money in that one.
She was,
She was great.
Soundtrack in that movie is fantastic as well.
It's fantastic.
God. I love that movie. I don't know.
Me too. I've watched it about 5 times.
Yeah, I think it's probably a more realistic depiction of the kind of
intelligence
alien
we'll meet.
Yeah, the kind of intelligence we would meet will be unrecognizable intelligence.
Yeah,
right?
They're not going to look like us. They're not going to have anything to do with us. They're not going to be carbon based. They're going to be, something else.
Yeah,
some elements we don't know about.
And good luck communicating with them. Like fuck, Anyway,
so who was it that said? Because we watch UFO shit. Not UFO shit because I don't like that. I like, space exploration and jet propulsion stuff. But radio signals, right? We've been searching for radio signals for how long? It's like they don't fucking use radio signals. Radio. That's like what primitive man discovered. These whatever civilizations are out there. It's certainly not radio.
It's true. We're probably on the wrong bandwidth right there.
Completely.
We're looking at the wrong stuff.
some,
For all
some
for all we know,
spectrum.
we're being bombarded with signals from them. We just don't know
Yeah.
how to grab it. We've
And
no
they're all
idea
like,
how to grab that info.
we don't know what's wrong with them. They just must be stupid. They haven't read any of our things. We've been there like 1,000 times. They don't even see us because, they're in a different dimension. So we can't even see them. Maybe that's the creak in the floor or the cup that moves. Who knows?
Or does we often talk about this, the answers to Fermi's paradox. We love that shit, right? One of the ones that I found very interesting was, what's the big problem? Like, think about it this way. Imagine whatever potential aliens are out there were to hear our conversation now, or people's conversations about the possibility of them being out there. And they heard it and they went, what are they talking about? We were just there yesterday. We built those things in Egypt for them, and we set up that thing in Britain. Yeah, that was yesterday, because they're in a different time scale completely.
Right.
Like, you go and see your grandmother every now and then, and she goes, oh my God, you've grown. Like, maybe once a year or twice a year is enough for you to go and see your grandmother. But to your grandmother, that time goes by very slowly, right? Sure. So you go, oh, I just saw her last month. But that month to your grandma, that was a lot of days of her going, I haven't seen my grandchild in ages. So it's what I'm trying to say. I'm just making a stupid little metaphor, is that to them, maybe they come here quite often to visit us. We're just in one of the gaps. That's a few thousand years, but to them, that's kind of nothing. Like, they're probably going, well, how often have we got to go see you, Grandma? We can't come all the time.
It's time dilation of a different color.
Yeah. Or, maybe different. These species, they live for 150,000 years.
Right.
But you see, because our average age is 80 to 100 years, if we're lucky, it's not happening soon enough for us. We're going, damn, where are you? Why is the night sky dark?
We've been waiting forever.
Yeah. We're sitting here yeah, we've been searching for your radio waves since the 50s. And they're like, since the 50s? That was lunchtime.
You just started.
We were just there. We just got home after visiting you. We gave you the pyramids, you weirdos.
We worked with those guys. They're called the Egyptians, the pharaohs.
Nathaniel's in again. Nathaniel, aren't you in Miami having the time of your life? I guess he's in the hotel room. He's getting ready to go out. Yeah, it's 6:30. He's probably getting, spruced up and aftershave on, ready to go out and have a good time with Tim.
Oh, is he going out with Tim?
He was hanging out with Tim last night.
How fun.
He's on the hunt for a watch because he's trying to get he's got like a couple of grand to spend. He's trying to get a lady's watch.
Oh, a lady's watch.
For a young lady, for a student.
For a lady friend. Okay.
Who it is, I have no idea, but you can only imagine. We won't go into it. How depressing that aliens listening to our radio traffic get to hear.
I love I love Hanson. We
played a gig with them.
They're a fucking great band. Amazing. I bet you they were fantastic live.
They were fantastic. And they were lovely fellas backstage. Yeah. And I swear to God, it was probably the loudest
screaming.
I've been in some loud moments, right? I've been on some loud stages. I've heard volumes, and so have you. You're in a fucking metal band. Forget about it. We've heard volumes.
I never had crowds of girls, though, my friend.
We played the gig, and they went ballistic. They had no idea who we were.
Girls.
But immediately we had like 3,000 girls looking us up or whatever. And then we went upstairs. There was a balcony, and we were waiting for Hanson to come on. When they came on, the screams.
Like the Beatles.
It was like the Beatles. And it was a deafening. I had to cover my ears. I was like, this is beyond deafening. And they played their gig through the screams.
Like Shea Stadium for the Beatles with that rinky-dink PA. That's why the Beatles quit touring, because they couldn't hear themselves.
They couldn't hear. I was looking at the guys going, how are they playing the gig? Like, no one can hear anything.
Well, they got
it's just
at that point. Right?
Yeah, they've got that. They're just disconnected.
They didn't have it back in the day. I listen to their records all the time because they're brothers, so they have that DNA amazing synergy that happens with like the Gibbs and all kinds of brothers. They also, an interesting fact about Hanson is I think each of those guys in that band have like 5, 6, 7 children each.
Yeah, they all got married very, very young.
Yeah,
I think are they Mormons or
that's
something?
what I'm guessing. Are they Mormon?
Mm.
I'm thinking maybe.
I think they are, and they were all like fully, married and having kids by 21. You know, something that seems so far.
Even Zach, who was 9 when we got Mbop.
Yeah, Zach is the pretty guy on the piano,
No, that's
right?
Taylor.
Okay.
And Isaac is the guitar player. See, I'm a fan.
I mean, they were all very handsome. We looked like rugged. We looked like rugged apes next to
you
guys.
were
They were very clean and smiley, and we were like, I had a bottle of vodka in my hand. I was like, I think we went there. I think we scared the audience a little bit because we walked out and we were a little dark. Our band isn't super dark, but in comparison to them, we're a little dark. And I'm there like I was in my fucking leather and my,
what did you open your show with?
I can't
like
remember.
The Cheater and the Cheated. It's something from Fear and Desire.
Probably
the darkest album ever made.
But they were lapping it up. They didn't care. And when you look down at the audience and you can't catch their eye, because you can't. The girls,
they're 12 and you'll be arrested.
there's that too. You've been there though. When you do, because you're looking around, then they go, "Oh my God, he's looking at me," and they go, they make this sign like, I don't know, like run away with me or something. You're like, I'm working right now. Like I can't read your lips and answer your question, whatever you're asking me.
Like,
I don't know if you noticed, but I'm a little busy, like trying to play this song. Lots of that stuff. Just like, so weird. It was a really.
Can you imagine
weird...
what that must be like to be in one of those groups, like that hit the zeitgeist, like the Beatles or who else? Who would have been the next? David Cassidy would be the next thing, and then the ones that are the teen idols.
What must tons of them today?
I mean,
tons of them.
Yeah, I mean, but it's like my argument has always been for. I mean, the Beatles don't count because there's the Beatles and then there's everybody else. Right. But, like today's teeny boppers are what? Justin Bieber and
he's old hat now. Like we've moved on. We need a 21-year-old on the.
Well, they're out there. They're on TikTok. Whoever these artists are now, they're demanding and being
Olivia Dunn.
Not Olivia Rodrigo. She's been replaced already.
Rodrigo, of course, she's the flavor of the day as well. Olivia Dunn, she's a gymnast, and she has like 6 million followers, and everywhere she goes, it's just like, but it's fellas, it's little 14-year-old boys completely obsessed with her.
Oh,
yeah,
I
just told you information you would have never known.
I mean,
you would never come across that information
because I don't ever fire up Instagram or TikTok. Or I mean, a lot of it is because as a man of a certain age, I like to stay as far away from
all that crap,
from all that shit, because I'm just like, I don't. Look, I'll tell you, the first time you turned me on to TikTok, I turned it on. The first thing I saw were the girls that jump up and their clothes fall off, and I went, stop. I don't want the FBI to know that I saw that, because I don't want to go to jail for being a pedophile, because I'm not. And
if you stop on it for more than 2 seconds, the algorithm thinks this is what you like.
That's
and all
what
of a sudden,
I want.
Boom.
I don't want.
And as a red-blooded, heterosexual male, I'm sorry, but it's hard for me. I mean, I assume I'm not looking at 12-year-olds. I assume they're at least 18. Okay, but it's. You're in a conflict. You're in a conflict. You just are, because you're just like, oh shit. Should I even like looking at that? Fuck.
I mean, if it was 1850, you'd be allowed to marry that.
Right. Okay.
Now.
Or certain parts of the world.
Yeah, certain parts of the world. I mean, the second that people became capable of reproduction was when they were allowed to have children and get married. But, our standards and practices have changed, and our morality codes have changed because of whatever religions we are, and that's fine. But rule of thumb is, if she looks young, run.
Yeah, you don't want that shit on your hard drive in any way, even if it's in your cache of your browser.
I mean,
explain to some officer why that's in the cache of your browser. Like,
hey, officer, she's hot though, still, right? She's young, but she's hot, right? You know what I'm saying, bro? Right? You know what I mean?
That's your only way out of that bind. That's your only way out.
You'll get some
Just
queen,
hoping
right? It'd be
he's
like, are you serious? That could be your daughter. That could be your granddaughter. You get the one gay cop who's furious at you for being a fucking perv. I mean, listen, guys have liked to look at young girls since the dawn of time. That's, flush skin, rosy cheeks, it's just nature. However, we have become a society. you know, we have standards that we need to abide by. You can't even look. Do you want some sweet tea? Ever watch those shows, To Catch a Predator? Oh,
Oh my god, they're so
Chris
terrible.
Hansen. And it's always
Yes.
like some girl who's really 25 and it's like, hey, would you like some sweet tea? And these guys show up with like
Oh my
comic
god,
books and
they're so
condoms.
sad.
It's like, and you just go like, you couldn't push yourself into the chair hard enough and go, oh my God. Because
It's
these
so
guys
bad.
are definitely, they're super aware that this person said that they were 13 or 14 years old. And it's like, wow, man. No, you do not pass go directly to jail. It's
know.
horrible. It's a horrible thing.
And they just want to leave. They always say the same thing. I just want to go. I just want to go.
Yes, and
And
then
it's like,
they go,
no.
go ahead, go. But then they tackle them on the
They
street outside.
tackled them on the lawn outside the house. It's so sad. And those guys are so fucked in so many ways because it was broadcast. So whatever they have to deal with the law is the first part. Then it's the stigma and people recognizing them at the mall. So what happened with Jeremy Clarkson, with Meghan Markle, who's fired by Amazon?
He was fired by Amazon. So for the people who don't know, he was the guy that started Top Gear all those years ago on the BBC, and then he punched a guy. Oddly enough, the guy he punched in the face, his name was Asheen. Did you know that?
Oh, really? He punched Asheen? Well, then I'm against him.
That's why he got fired from the BBC. So the other two fellas upped and quit, and they went to Amazon, and they started their own show called The Grand Tour, which has been a runaway success. I watch it all the time because even though I don't drive, I do love cars.
Okay.
And if I had a lot of money, I'd buy some great cars. So he was fired because of what he said about Meghan Markle. And what he said was that he hated the Duchess of Sussex on a cellular level. And he wanted her to be paraded naked while being pelted with excrement. That was his statement to like the Sun.
Oh, come on.
Yeah. So, I mean, obviously not the best choice of words. So he was fired. And then he went on and wrote them a tweet apologizing, kind of groveling. Yeah, and now it's just really, it's really sad now because
I mean, you have to be careful about, even with Meghan Markle.
Sure, that's
if your world is British centric, because he's, superstar in Britain.
Sure.
I mean, he's a superstar everywhere kind of thing because, Top Gear was so huge everywhere.
Yeah.
But certainly in Britain, and the British, they don't want to hear that, even though Meghan Markle's a problem and all of that shit is coming out now. And and that bloody Spare, that book, and so embarrassing. But still, even at that, you got to got to be careful what you say.
I mean, you can, I dislike her greatly, and I keep most of my harsh, I'm not going to say anything defamatory against her. I just think he went overboard. He's done it before. And, he's an older gentleman. He's well into his 60s at this point.
Oh, God. He got so
he looks terrible.
And booked the trend this morning with an apology for the things I said in the song about Meghan Markle. I'm really, really sorry. All the way from the balls of my feet to the follicles on my head. Oh, wow. It's really groveling, huh?
He's groveling.
Well, he's got to apologize, right?
He's got to apologize. He lost his job. They fired him. But that'll be the end of the Grand Tour because those two guys will quit too.
Isn't he 68 or look how old that dude is?
I don't even think he's that old. I think he is 63. I think he just looks like shit.
Jeez, I'm going to look a lot better than that when I'm 63.
This guy, his breakfast this morning was a fifth of scotch and about 1.5 packs of Marlboros.
Right.
Yeah, that's definitely what he had for breakfast.
Yeah.
And last night he went out for oysters, and
Yeah.
he ate like 5. I mean, he just looks like hell. And he's as rich as fuck. I don't know why he's groveling. This guy's worth a fortune.
Yeah.
Doesn't
Can't he
have
just
to work.
can't he just retire now and just go and sit on a beach or
A
something?
1,000,000% he could
I'll
do
never
that.
understand why people don't just do that. Just like I've done, I won, I made millions. I had a huge, long, extended career. I did very well.
Yeah.
Let me hang my hat up now. Now that I can barely get out of the chair.
You're talking about all the bands we've ever loved that don't hang it up.
It's true. It's true.
Do you know what really this really bothers me? I'm not a fan in any way of Foo Fighters. I have tremendous respect for Dave Grohl. I think he's
Sure.
an incredible drummer. I'm
Yeah.
not the biggest Nirvana fan. It's just past my caring about new music phase. And their style just doesn't do it for me. If you love it, that's great. I understand the value and the worth of it. Foo Fighters, I always thought that I like a couple of their songs. I think they're milk toasty, and I think that Taylor Hawkins was fabulous for that band.
Sure.
Fabulous. They've decided to continue, which I just don't think that they should. And they are going through auditions now, and I think that they're making a show. Yeah. So I think that it's horrible that Dave has allowed this to happen. They had a big tribute concert. That's great. Queen at least broke up for 35 years before they got George Santos to sing for them. That's my opinion of Adam Lambert. I think Adam Lambert's a great singer, but I think he's George Santos.
I don't even think he's a great singer. So I'm one wrong below you,
dude. Now the guy's got crazy, unbelievable pipes.
Maybe it's
crazy,
his tone.
effortless.
Maybe it's his tone. That
Could be.
Like.
He's got that really high. He's got a big range, but he's got this incredible open technique that is just wowsy, and it's always perfect. However, just don't be in my favorite band. I'm not into it, and I don't like his whole shtick. But anyway, I digress. Foo Fighters. Oh man, Dave, you're worth like $500 million, and you've made all those guys in your band rich. You know what? Time. You wrote a book. You don't need to continue Foo Fighters because, first of all, nobody's selling records now anyway. U2 put out a new record. You know what they did? They put out covers of all of their hits, acoustic.
Okay. That's not so bad. Okay, well.
So that's like listening to when Kate Bush did her thing and we hated it. The director's cut. It was like, no. I don't want to hear you do your best songs at 60. You're not going to sing it as well.
You know what? They don't know what else to do. They don't
Relevance.
know. Like, I'd get into fishing or something, I mean, I just go, okay, I'm gonna buy a little island in Greece and just like be into fishing like crazy or something simpler.
No, we would get a winery.
You conquered the world. Oh yeah, you get a winery.
That's what we would do. I know what if we had the Bono cash and we decided it was over. The first thing we do is we'd go to France and go find a vineyard that needs a couple of Band-Aids, and then we'd all move there and we'd work on that.
Yes,
that would be the end game.
We wouldn't do the picking though. We wouldn't get out and do the hard work.
In the beginning, we probably would.
We would, but then we'd lose. Then we'd be into the blending and the tasting and the deciding on the blends. More Cab Franc, I think. More Cab. What do you think, Dirk?
I think a bit more Petit Verdot.
Really? We're gonna have to leave that with me.
On peut. I mean, sure.
We just feel the worst fuckers ever.
When do you leave the party? When Bashies, when is it time to leave the party? You've made your mark. Listen, I just finished Bono's book. My first audiobook ever. I loved it. I probably listened to it 50 different, jump chapters. I loved every second of it. And he's got little snippets of songs. Turns out that's the record that they did.
You've just answered a question I had. Okay, because I'm listening to it too.
You hear those little things in those interludes? Those are from the excerpts from the record. Where he's singing out of tune and it's in a weird key and all that. It's a great book. But you know what? Listen, U2, they're now in the nostalgia realm. Whatever, because I went back and I listened to Innocence Plus Experience which was the record they made that they put on everybody's iPods and everybody got furious about it.
Uh-huh.
It's a fucking incredible record. Raised by Wolves, the legend of Joey Ramone, good songs. Nobody cared. As a matter of fact, they wanted their money back. They're never going to put out have another #1 hit record because it's all BTS and TikTokery. That's where we are now. There's no room for rock. Metallica put out a song and it was just whatever. I'm not a Metallica fan, but it came out and everybody's like, this is a return to form from Metallica. Did it set the world on fire? No, it didn't. So I think rock is, I'm not saying rock. I'm not going to be the guy who says rock is dead, but there's a time when you are a legendary artist, when you should look in the rearview mirror and start your vineyard, start your private label wine. Because I don't see the point of it. Why would you want to slog it out? Because what are you going to do? Wind up playing to half-filled arenas in New Jersey when you did that freaking 360 tour? They were so massive. I just think Dave Grohl should walk away, man. You did 10 records with the Foo Fighters. That's more than any band ever gets to do.
It'll be awful if they do get a new drummer, they put out a new record, and it's kind of meh, and they do a kind of a meh tour.
That's what it's going to be anyway.
And then they hang up their hats. Then it'll be like, well, why did we even do that?
Their last record.
Why didn't we go out on the high point? Yeah. Well, not high point. It's a low point to lose your drummer, but it's a noble place to call it quits. Whereas if they get a new drummer and they have another 20 years in them, and Taylor Hawkins kind of fades into the past, a bit like Cliff Burton with Metallica or something, then maybe. Also, the guy doesn't know what else to do with himself, Clearly doesn't have other passions.
He does. He has a wife and family, and he could, he could buy whatever he wants. He could move to the outback of Australia and start a Shiraz if he wanted to. Shiraz. It just, you should find another thing like Kiss are still out on the road and they're in their 70s, and the Rolling Stones don't have anybody left in the band. But
I give them a pass because it's just like, well, what? I mean, at this point, it's like they may as well play till they drop dead, literally on the stage. Wouldn't that be the right thing for them to do? Like literally go out on the stage. Just like there's no other purpose for them anymore. They just have to keep playing. I can't get no satisfaction until the batteries completely wear out. No? Is that harsh?
I mean, I don't disagree. But here's another one. Has anybody seen the Madonna video?
Is there a new one? Please don't tell me there is.
She's sitting in a room with Amy Schumer and the guy with Where's the Grills, other than Madonna. She's wearing a grill. Some comedians, the director, Judd Apatow, and they're all sitting around at her house, having a party, drinking wine. People are smoking blunts, and they're playing Truth or Dare. Just like in Truth or Dare, from 33 years ago.
Okay.
And I want you to kiss this one, So there's like gay kissing, lesbian kissing, and people giving blowjobs to bottles and all kinds of juvenile shit that we giggled at 35 years ago. So Amy Schumer goes, "Dare, Madonna, I dare you to go on a greatest hits tour." And play every city it's a big fucking commercial for a greatest hits tour she's coming out with. And it was so sad because she looks so weird. And she goes, I'm doing it. I'm announcing it now. I'm going on a world tour. Like she did this tour a couple of years ago where she had the new rump implant and the new fish face, and it was all lip sunk, and everybody said she was terrible. She's Mae West and she should hang it up. And yet this is a person. Ego doesn't allow you to stop. That's what it is. It's your ego. Because you know what? She's got more. She's like next in line to McCartney for money. I mean, she's got crazy money. Mm-hmm. She needs to just hang up her bustier. Hang it up.
Especially the kind of artist she is, which is supposed to be, or at least she tries to be provocative and sexual, but she's 70. It's Please,
I
please don't
mean,
do it when you're 70.
listen, Mae West was funny because she'd sit in a thing, with her furs and her big wigs, and she'd be like, "Come up and see me sometime." She was just a dirty mouthed old lady, but Madonna is simulating fellatio on bottles at 64 years old,
Oh
and
boy.
it's just, and she's lost her control of how great she looks. She's all completely redone her face, and she's got all this weird plastic surgery and these butt enhancements, so she doesn't even have the beautiful live dancer's body that she relied on, that gave her all the stuff. And she also
Sure,
doesn't
sure.
have, as you and I have discussed musically a million times, she worked with Patrick Leonard and all these great producers and songwriters. She had a great she had great collaborations in her day, and now she
Yeah.
just gets together with this DJ, Snake Eyes, and Scissor Smoking
Fading.
Pants, and all these charlatan 12-year-olds from Hokkaido Islands that like, oh, I have a new a Kit Kat brand of hip hop, and she's jumping on it, and it's so sad. So
Can I
no,
give
but
a shout out
give a shout out to
to
everybody.
OK Cool, because I love his comments. Earlier I mentioned
I saw
Olivia
that.
Dawn. I mentioned Olivia Dawn. He's like Googling now. Now it's like lesbians kissing, Googling now.
Yeah. Oh my God. Isn't it so tiring? Like, Madonna thinks that like two girls kissing is provocative.
It's not
Oh,
anymore, darling.
no. As a matter of fact, I'm just so sick of seeing girls kiss on TV now. It's so boring. It's gotten so stupid. So yeah, I don't know. Yeah. So yeah, the whole Foo Fighters thing, that bothered me, but I think it comes
Yeah.
down to the general thing with ego. Why does Mick Jagger not retire with the money that he's got, and Keith Richards, and who's still married to Patty Hansen? And that's pretty amazing to me. Well,
Well,
she
sometimes
was
there are amazing, strong relationships in these situations. To
incredible.
be surprised.
She's put up with a lot of shit with that guy. Incredible.
Nathaniel's coming in again. Tony Bennett suggests the party lasts a long time. Well,
Yeah.
yeah, I guess, yeah.
Longer than it should have,
Different
because
kind of longer than it should have, but that guy can keep going for a while. It's like
well, he's
Sinatra or
done
something.
now. He's got full
Yeah.
on Alzheimer's now.
Oh boy,
And he did this special with Gaga when they were doing the Gaga
that's right. That's
duet
right.
thing, and
Yeah.
he did his last concert, and he didn't remember doing the show.
Okay.
But when they got him on the stage for the show, all the songs and all the lyrics came right back to him. Because
Muscle memory.
it was incredible. Incredible. I mean, obviously one of the greats of all time. But
Design
he gave,
Atelier says upvote, guys. Yes, everybody upvote.
please upvote.
We lost half the audience because we went on to other stuff, but that's okay, guys. So
From what were we talking about?
Well, we started with watches and the
Well,
Cartel, so that was
yeah.
But then we get on to other stuff. That's the Eyebashers, guys. If you like it, go over to the Eyebashers and sub or check out the podcast.
We've been doing this
is
a while.
not
You
the
guys
new.
should know that.
Yeah, they should know. What there's someone in here watching this going, hold on, I just subbed to this guy last week because he made a video about a date just, and now they're talking about Madonna. What the fuck? I can't blame the guy.
Hey,
This
man, you
channel is
probably 30 years
haphazard,
ago,
man.
you wanted to fuck her too, but now you don't.
Does anyone now?
Young guys who are looking for a sugar mamita, they do.
Mark Sherrard, girls kissing. I'll be back in 10 minutes.
Mark Sherrard. We had the usual suspects in here, Benzo.
Yeah, I'll use Ray
Lesbian
in
kissing,
here as well.
man. Yeah, that's some funny stuff, man.
That must be the most boring thing in the world to you.
Girls kissing?
As a gay man.
No, I think it can be extremely erotic and it's cute and sexy. No. I used to enjoy going to strip clubs and watching girls do their thing. That's an art. The woman is one of the most beautiful things ever invented. It's incredible.
Of course.
Just because I don't want to tap that doesn't mean anything. I still see the art. The art is outrageous, especially, that's why I've always said that, because I don't want to, get involved with it. That's why I always see like it from a different perspective. I think gay dudes who generally love women, obviously, because we've got so many icons I just think we
Sure.
see women that, like, when you look at, like, we'll look at, like, the ones you won't look at, like Ingrid Bergman,
Mhm.
or the different kinds of beauty. Whereas, like, Ingrid Bergman, I like Pamela Anderson, because
Right.
you want to procreate. Then your natural urge is to want to procreate with this beautiful ripe piece of fruit. So it's different. It's like you don't, you get John
You know
Hamm, but
me
you don't
so
get anybody
well.
else. Yeah, I mean, you are every man. You're a straight guy. You like, you like that ripe, beautiful piece of fruit. They're beautiful, and they are beautiful, and there's no reason to dislike that. But like, from the same token, how hard is it for you? Everybody's taste is different, and that's, thank you. Every old sock meets an old shoe. Thank God for that, because who was it? Rhea Perlman would have never found love in this world until she met Danny DeVito. You know what I mean? Imagine, like, if everybody looked like Cindy Crawford. Imagine, we'd be fucked.
It would be a tough world. Ben's at 199. Thank you so much for your various different super
of course
chats,
you
Ben.
don't.
So heteros at the strip club don't care about the art. Yes, of course, we're looking past that.
Right.
It's one of the reasons why so many of these TikTok girls and so on can just do it in their bedroom. You can see the door to their bedroom right behind them. There's no set. They don't care about lighting because they kind of
No.
know that the dudes, they ain't looking at your fridge behind you, or your kitchen or
I can't
whatever,
believe that girl's
wherever.
dancing in front of a fridge.
I love when there's a fan on the ceiling, like just going, like that's your set. But they know that, like, we don't care, I guess.
I'll
It's
tell you
just
what, though,
funny.
when I go to the strip club with you, Ray, I'm walking out, my wallet's still gonna have money in it.
What he's saying about Tina Turner?
No, at the strip club, like, I'm not. Oh,
Oh
that's
yeah,
a different one.
that was Benzo.
Oh, Bento, I'm gonna walk out with a fatter wallet because I'm not throwing it at the girls.
You're not.
No,
No, I
but
hate strip
I'll
clubs.
yeah, because they're gross in general. It's a sad
They're
thing.
just sad. They're sad. I was talking to someone the other night about this. I'm like, I don't know. Am I the only guy I know who doesn't like strip clubs? Every time I was dragged to one, I'm always like, oh man, it's just like very sad, lonely looking Chinese businessmen, sitting, smiling at, just smiling at these girls and just throwing the money in. That's all I can see, and then all I can see in the girls is like, oh, who's, where do your parents know where you are? Like,
Yeah,
that's all
I
I can
mean,
think about.
it's
That's
tragic.
all, because I'm just not fascinated by all the other stuff. I mean, I can look at a beautiful woman and go, yeah, she's beautiful, but I'm not distracted. It doesn't take over my mind as much. I'm
It's a whole other
so
breed of
preoccupied with the
dudes.
rest.
It's a
Yeah.
soul. It's all of it. It's
I'm
the
not I'm
guys
not
from
an annoying
Entourage.
guy who wants to have a chat. Someone pays for a lap dance, and I go, honey, do you want to drink at the bar? Let me know. Like, you don't have to give me the lap dance. I'll buy you a drink. What do you do? How come you're here? And do you have a family? I want to know.
You want to know?
I'm like that pain in the ass. They're probably like, oh God, don't ask me any questions. Just sit there like a stupid dude and just look at my boobies, please. That's probably
Dude,
what they want
it's
me
the
to
same
do.
as guys that have no problem going to prostitutes. I think my problem with I have no problem with you wanting to be a prostitute, if it's if a person's safe, if they're not being pimped out, if it's
Sure.
something that they're doing. I'm all for it. Whatever. I think you do you. However, you have to be of a certain mindset, because I can't imagine being in a sexual encounter with somebody that is being paid for it, because they're not into it. They're just doing it for the money. So that in itself is such an incredible turnoff to me. Like, I don't want to be with anybody who wouldn't want to be with me. And, like, why would you want to be anyway? So, like, that's half the battle. I'll be like, nah. Yeah, so it's a whole different thing. There are guys like Trump and Ron Perlman and all these big, fat, ugly guys that just, that's what they do. Harvey Weinstein, well, he takes, but he also paid. There's very few guys that look like Brad Pitt paying for sex, but there are some.
I'll never get around. Yeah, I'll never get my mind around like what Weinstein did, like forcing people into a situation.
Right.
If you're a straight up rapist with a knife in your hand in an alleyway, that's like, you're just a psychopath and crazy.
Yeah.
You're dangerous. But if you're Weinstein and you don't care about the difference between she's there because she's scared or she's there because she needs a career, or you've intimidated her into. I mean, what the hell? I mean,
Shut
I'll
up.
walk away from a girl if I even get the basic feeling that she's only half into it. I'll be like, oh, never mind.
Yeah.
There's there's taxi fare home. Call me when you get home. Make sure you're safe. You're like, I'll run away from those situations. So the last thing I would ever want is that. Maybe that's why I'm not into that kind of stuff. But I do find it interesting. Like I was in one many years ago on the strip in LA. And as I was with my girlfriend at the time. I'm not going to say who, and she was more beautiful than any of the women in the room. Okay, but for some reason she wanted to go. It excited her.
Girls dig it. A lot of girls like
Some
it.
girls dig it. Some girls dig it. She really wanted to go, and that's why I went. And I had to go over to the ATM. And when I went over to the ATM, there's one by the door, because I'm going to have to pay for this stuff. I was very reluctant. We got into a big fight afterwards. I was like, I'm done with this relationship and stuff. I was like the girl. She was like the dude. It was a weird role reversal. But I walked over to the ATM and the girls came over by the ATM and went, hi. And, started stroking me because they want me, if in my head I was going to take out 200, now maybe I'll take out 5. They're stimulating. And then I stood back. I stood away. And they stood away. And then I walked toward the ATM, and then they walked toward me. And I started playing with them like I had a remote control on their legs. It was so weird. That's me. I'm like a nerd. I'm the ultimate nerd. It's terrible.
It's like,
so we got lap dances. My girlfriend goes, pick a girl and get a lap dance. And I'm like, okay.
She wanted to watch that.
No, she wanted a lap dance from a girl, and she wanted me to get one. I guess it turned her on. So I'm in this little booth getting a lap dance, and I start talking to the girl like, where are you from? Like, and I get her whole life story, and she hears the accent, and she's like, Ireland, I'd love to go to Ireland. I was like, oh, you should go sometime. She's there stripping off. It's so automatic and stuff. And I'm like, she's probably thinking like, is this guy totally gay or something like? And she goes, is that your girlfriend in the next booth over that my friend is lap dancing right now? And I was like, yeah, she's so beautiful. I'm like, I know. Why am I paying you to do this when my own girlfriend could do it, for free in the hotel room? None of it made sense. We got into a big fight afterwards.
What's sexy about any of that?
A lot of guys, it doesn't matter. They're just like, screw it. I don't care. I'm taking it. So fair enough.
And what's even funnier is
maybe I'm the one with the problem.
When gay dudes go to gay places where guys are dancing like the girls. How is that a thing?
Ooh.
I don't get it. Like, wait a second. You're gay, but you want to watch guys dance like girls on a pole and flex and do all kinds of girly moves. It's the girliest shit ever. Go to a fucking construction site.
Right. And watch men sweat.
Go to a logging convention.
Yeah, men picking up wood.
Right.
Carrying wood.
Chopping down trees or roofing.
Doing manly things. Manly things.
Instead, you're watching guys behave like girls. Does that just defeat the whole purpose?
Yeah, I never thought about that.
Like, I'll never forget back in the day, I'd go to somebody dragged me to some bar, and they'd be like go-go boys. And I'd be like, there'd be guys handing the money, and I'd be like, I don't get it. I just don't get it. Do you like these girly boys? They're just acting so girly.
Yeah, why aren't you into girls then?
I don't know. Odd. I'm gonna call the cops so I can see some real men. Or start a fire.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. We see the real men walk into the room. Now you got aroused.
I mean, like everybody's got their own thing, but like I never understood the whole idea. I mean, sure, you're a straight guy, you like beautiful girls, you watch a beautiful girl with great breasts, great figure on a pole. She's being seductive and feminine and beautiful. It all the boxes tick. Right. To look at. I'm not saying you want to follow through with anything, but if you're a gay dude, you want to see that same person do that same thing, but it's a guy. It just doesn't make any sense to me. It's very effeminate, and I don't get it. Anyway,
that's like us wanting to see girls chop wood. or put out fires. I don't know. I wander in a little short skirt, like dropping a handkerchief on the floor and going, "Ooh, I have to pick it up now," or or whatever,
Right.
or doing whatever. I don't
Oh
know.
my God, I dropped it.
I'm gonna
We're
have to
killing
bring it over
Nathaniel with the
now.
logging convention, picking up wood. I mean, sure, it makes sense, right? Oh God,
All right,
what
we're over
makes the
2
world go
hours.
round?
Thanks for
Going to.
anybody who hung on. Again, iBashers. This is what it's about. If you dig it, go over to iBashers or check out the podcast wherever you find your podcasts, be it Apple or Spotify or whatever. And this is not Oshinomari content. So if you're watching it on the Oshinomari channel, I keep repeating myself, but I have to. And we're looking for watch chat. That was at the beginning of the show.
We had some
so just
watch chat.
rewind. Yeah, we had a
Yeah.
little bit. Yeah.
I
So
talked
rewind
about
if you want to hear all about the
Pepsis.
cartel and stuff, and then we talked about the Speedy, or no, the Pepsi, yeah,
Pepsis.
the
Yeah,
doctor, the dentist with the
the
Pepsi.
dentist. To be
feel
a
like-
dentist.
I love that. I love that film.
It's an incredible movie.
I love the whole. He's the sadist, and then there's
He's
the
the
masochist.
sadist. Yeah.
Yeah.
The
I
Little
love
Shop
that
of
stuff.
Horrors. We were talking about kids in case
Yeah.
you don't know. Oh, that's great. Ellen Green. Somewhere it's green. What a movie that is. What a great star. Everything about it is great.
Benzo, thanks for $10. Am I horrible for not having great compassion for uber ambitious actresses in Hollywood? Yeah, that is one of the conflicts when that problem comes up.
Sure.
Yes, I guess that is one way of looking at it.
Listen, there are plenty of people out there that are well equipped to go up to Harvey Weinstein's room to go get what they want and leave with their dignity intact. Those people exist.
And those people we see on the silver screen because they got the part. Unfortunately, that's the truth.
And the other ones are the ones we saw in the lawsuit. Or,
right.
you might have thought you were able to handle it and you weren't.
Next time you're watching a movie, guys, any movie from up until 5 or 6 years ago, watch out for Weinstein Company.
Yeah.
Your favorite movies may have been made because of Miramax, because of that man and his brother, right? It was him and his bro, right? They were the engine behind Miramax.
They made some of the greatest movies ever made. They made all the Merchant Ivory movies, all of them.
They pushed a lot of stuff through. They believed in Quentin Tarantino when no one else did. It's a difficult thing to wrap your head around, isn't it? Yeah. Anyhow, guys, great chat. Dirk, thank you as always.
Thank you.
And
thanks everybody for hanging in there. It was a lot of fun tonight.
Guys, I'm going to knock you guys over to Tim Wright, the man I was speaking about at the beginning of this podcast, I guess it is. Check him out. He's in Miami right now at the Vintage Watch Show, and he's probably looking at a lot of cool watches. So if you need your watch fix, you're probably going to see a lot of great, interesting, vintage and expensive watches. So it'll take 10 seconds once we end here. If you hang on for 10 seconds, it'll knock you over there, and you can check out Tim Wright. Go give him a sub. He needs it. Hardest working man in watch YouTube. See you, fellas.
Miami.
See you, Dirk.
See you.